In this video, we'll go over taking statistics on results in SoundCheck. When taking statistics of results, we can output an individual limits yield. This is the running tally of the success rate percentage of each individual result selected. If I wanted to know how many times my frequency response met the limit, then I could enable this. If the first time I run the test, it passes, I'm at 100% yield. If the second time it fails, I would be at 50%. Overall yield will give us a running tally of the success rate of all results selected. If any of those selected fails, then the overall yield is a failure. If I had 10 results I was taking an overall yield on, and all 10 of them passed, I would get 100% overall yield. If on the second run, 9 of them passed but 1 of them failed, then that overall is a failure, so I would have a 50% overall yield. Statistics can also output the margin mean. This is an average of the margin that gets output from the limit step. If you look at a results window of your limit, that number that shows up is what we're going to be taking the mean of. For a value, this will be the value itself. But on a curve, it will tell you how much the step passed or failed by. We can also output the margin standard deviation. This is a measurement of the dispersion of the results margins. The more samples you take, the more accurate standard deviation becomes. When you enable margin standard deviation, you'll define sigma in the statistics editor. We can also look at the absolute margin standard deviation, which will output the pure sigma value. We can also specify which work-in mode to use: linear, dB, or power. This will change how the math calculates the average for our results. We'll hop over to SoundCheck and add in a statistics results step template. At the top, you'll notice that results is selected, and we can choose anything down here in this dropdown. I'll select average sensitivity, THD, and rub and buzz margins. Looking at my results window, you can see which of these pass or fail and what the margin is. I'll display my overall yield percentage as well as the rest of the statistics on my THD results. To make things a little bit simpler, I'm going to remove all the extraneous results from my graph. Now when I run, you can see the 3 results that I'm taking statistics on. 2 of them pass, but rub and buzz is failing. My overall yield is 0% because I always am failing at least one thing. But my THD, individual yield, is 100%. There's a couple different ways to work around this. I could either remove the rub and buzz margin from my overall limits, or I could just go into my limit step and make sure that I'm passing rub and buzz from now on. I reset my statistics, run again, and now my overall yield is 100% because all 3 of my results have passed. Now let's look at the margin mean on THD. It's showing up right now as 3.99, which isn't quite what we'd expect. Looking at the margin in the results tab, I'm passing by about 1.2%. Why is this number so off? For this, I need to change what I'm working in. I'm currently working in dB, which isn't appropriate for a THD margin. I'll go into the statistics editor, select only the THD, and change work-in to linear. Now when I rerun the test, on the results the margin is 1%, and on the table the margin mean is also 1%. If I keep running the test, you'll see the THD margin slightly change, and the margin mean in margin plus or minus 3 sigma will also update to reflect that. In the next video, we'll look at process capability in SoundCheck.